in the dim glow of a single spotlight, piercing the haze of a sold-out arena like a solitary beacon in the night, Elvis Presley steps forward. His voice, once a thunderous roar that shook the foundations of a generation, now emerges as a fragile whisper, laced with an unspoken plea. The year is 1977, the place, Indianapolis. This is his final bow upon the stage of life, a performance, shrouded in shadows, where every note carries the weight of a soul unraveling. But beneath the applause, a heartbreaking truth lurks, one that would shatter the illusions of millions. What if that last concert was not merely a show, but a desperate cry from a man teetering on the edge of eternity? A revelation so profound, it exposes the fragility of fame, the torment of isolation, and the invisible chains that bound the king to his throne until the very end. As the curtain of memory rises, we journey back to that fateful evening of June 26, 1977. The Market Square Arena pulses with anticipation. A sea of faces illuminated by the flicker of lighters and the glow of adoration. Elvis, at 42, embodies the paradox of immortality, eternally young in the public's eye, yet worn by decades of relentless pursuit. His jumpsuit, a glittering cascade of silver and blue, clings to a frame that has ballooned under the strain of excess and exhaustion. Psychologically, this moment is a precipice. Elvis, the boy from Tupelo, who conquered the world, now grapples with the ghost of his former self, man whose identity has been devoured by the very legend he created. The crowd senses it, perhaps, in the way his eyes, those piercing blue orbs, dart with a mix of defiance and despair. He begins with "Also Sprach Zarathustra," the fanfare that once heralded his triumphant returns. But tonight, it echoes hollowly, a fanfare for a fallen king. Delve deeper, and the emotional undercurrents reveal a psyche fractured by loss. Elvis's mother, Gladys, the anchor of his world, had departed this earth decades prior, leaving a void that no adulation could fill. His marriage to Priscilla had crumbled, leaving him adrift in a mansion of solitude. And his daughter, Lisa Marie, just 9 years old, a beacon of innocence amid his chaos, how he longed to shield her from the storm within. In this concert, every sway of his hips, every strained lyric, becomes a psychological confession, the thrill of performance masking the terror of irrelevance. He jokes weakly with the audience, his voice cracking like brittle glass. But behind the facade lies a man haunted by prescriptions that dulled the pain but amplified the isolation. The truth, heartbreaking in its clarity, is that this night was his subconscious farewell, a man performing not for the crowd, but for the fragments of his soul scattered across the years that, as we uncover these layers, imagine the weight upon his shoulders, the invisible burden of expectation that Elvis carried like a cross. Historically, this concert marked the culmination of a grueling tour, one that pushed his body to its limits. Reports from those close to him whisper of erratic behavior, of a king whose realm was crumbling from within. Yet, in that arena, he summons the fire one last time, belting out C.C. Rider with a fervor that belies his frailty. The audience, oblivious to the tragedy unfolding, erupts in cheers, but we, looking back, see the tears unshowed, the pleas unspoken. This is the mystery that grips us, how a single performance could encapsulate the arc of a life, revealing the heartbreaking truth that Elvis was not invincible, but profoundly, achingly human. To journey further into this untold story, to witness the revelations that would leave even the staunchest fan breathless, I invite you to like this video if it stirs your heart, to subscribe for more hidden chapters of icons laid bare, and to share this with those who cherish the echoes of greatness. For in sharing, we honor the man behind the myth. Now, as the music swells, let us descend into the heart of that evening, where every chord strikes at the core of despair and defiance. The stage lights bathe Elvis in an ethereal glow, casting long shadows that dance like specters across the vast expanse of the arena. As he launches into "I Got a Woman," his voice rises, a testament to the enduring power that once electrified the nation. But listen closely, there is a tremor, a subtle falter that betrays the man beneath. Psychologically, this is the unraveling of a titan, Elvis, whose early triumphs were forged in the fires of raw, unbridled passion, now confronts the erosion of that vitality. The tour schedule, merciless in its demands, has become a Sisyphean ordeal, each city a reminder of glories past. His physician, Dr. Nick, hovers in the wings, a figure of both salvation and subtle sabotage, prescribing elixirs that numb the ache but cloud the mind. In this performance, Elvis's movements, fluid and hypnotic now, carry the weight of labored breaths, a body rebelling against the soul's insistence on perseverance. Emotionally, the concert is a tapestry woven with threads of nostalgia and regret. Recall the summer of 1956, when Elvis first stormed the stages of the Louisiana hayride, his guitar a weapon against obscurity. That boyish energy, infectious and pure, captivated a world on the cusp of change. Yet here, in 1977, as he croons "Love Me," the lyrics twist into a poignant irony. "Treat me like a fool, treat me mean and cruel," he sings. And one wonders if he addresses the crowd or the mirror of his own life. The psychological insight is stark. Fame's double-edged sword has carved deep wounds. Isolated by his entourage, the Memphis Mafia, Elvis navigates a labyrinth of loyalty tinged with codependency. They shield him from the world's harsh gaze, but in doing so, they cocoon him in a reality distorted by sycophancy. This night, as fans scream their devotion, he feels the chasm widen, their love a distant echo, unable to bridge the loneliness that gnaws at his core historically. The backdrop of this final show is rich with foreboding. America in the late 70s is a nation healing from Watergate's scars and Vietnam's ghosts, seeking solace in the familiar icons of its youth. Elvis, the embodiment of rock and roll rebellion turned establishment, stands as a bridge between eras. But privately, his health deteriorates under the assault of a punishing regimen, amphetamines to fuel the fire, barbiturates to douse it. Witnesses from that evening recall his pallor, the sweat beating not from exertion alone, but from an internal fever. As he transitions to "Trying to Get to You," the song's plea for connection resonates with heartbreaking authenticity. Psychologically, it is a cry from the depths. Elvis, ever the seeker of genuine bonds, finds himself ensnared in a web of superficial acclaim. His father, Vernon, watches from the sidelines, his face etched with worry, paternal instinct, clashing against the son's unyielding drive. Deeper still, the emotional currents reveal a man wrestling with mortality. Dreams of escape flicker in his mind, perhaps a retreat to Graceland's quiet gardens, or a life unscripted away from the spotlight. Yet duty calls, and he answers with Jailhouse Rock. The crowd's roar, a temporary balm. But the truth emerges in the pauses, the moments when his gaze drifts stageward, lost in reverie. This concert is no mere entertainment. It is a psychological autopsy of a life spent chasing the unattainable. The adulation fuels him, yet it also drains, a vampire's kiss upon his spirit. As the set progresses, the revelations mount. Elvis's voice, though commanding, carries undertones of exhaustion, a harbinger of the silence to come. In these notes, we hear not just the king, but a man confronting the fragility of his empire. His heart laid bare in every strained syllable. The immersion deepens as we consider the audience's role in this drama. They, too, are unwitting participants in his swan song, their cheers a chorus to his quiet desperation. Historically detailed accounts from crew members paint a picture of urgency. Elvis, arriving late, his demeanor subdued yet resolute. The psychological toll is evident in his interactions, affectionate yet distant, as if already bidding farewell. This section of the evening, building toward the intermission, exposes the heartbreaking truth incrementally that behind the glamour lay a soul adrift, seeking redemption in the only language he knew, song post intermission. The arena hums with renewed fervor, the air thick with the scent of anticipation and cigarette smoke. Elvis reemerges, his presence a magnetic force that commands silence before erupting into cheers. He opens with fever, the sultry rhythm a nod to his sensual roots, but tonight it simmers with an undercurrent of unease. Psychologically, this is the midpoint of his internal battle, the performer versus the patient, the icon versus the individual. The medications coursing through his veins create a cocktail of euphoria and disorientation, sharpening his focus momentarily while eroding his stamina. As he sways, his hands trembling slightly on the microphone, we glimpse the man who once revolutionized music, now reduced to a vessel straining against its limits. The emotional depth here is profound. Elvis, whose life was a whirlwind of highs and lows, finds in this song a metaphor for his own burning intensity, a fever that consumes without mercy, delving into the historical fabric. This concert occurs mere weeks before his death, a fact that imbues every moment with tragic prescience. Elvis's career, spanning over 2 decades, had seen him evolve from rebel to soldier, from screen idol to Vegas headliner. Yet the toll of reinvention weighs heavily. In the 70s, his return to live performance was a resurrection of sorts, but one marred by the physical ravages of indulgence. Accounts from band members, like guitarist John Wilkinson, describe Elvis's voice as powerful yet unpredictable, cracking under pressure. As he segues into "You Gave Me a Mountain," the lyrics strike at the heart of his psyche, a tale of betrayal and burden, mirroring his own marital dissolution and the mountains of expectation he climbed daily. Emotionally, it is a cathartic release, tears welling in the eyes of those who knew him best, for they see the vulnerability he conceals from the masses. Psychologically sharp, this performance reveals Elvis's complex relationship with control. A man who orchestrated his destiny with meticulous care, from the sequined suits to the elaborate staging, now feels the reins slipping. His dependence on others, from doctors to managers, fosters a sense of helplessness, amplifying the isolation. In the arena's roar, he seeks validation, yet the applause only underscores his detachment. Imagine the internal monologue, doubts about his relevance in a disco-dominated era, fears of fading into obscurity. One night, he sings "Next," evoking memories of intimate encounters that once fueled his passion, but now serve as reminders of fleeting joys. The emotional grip tightens as we consider his daughter, Lisa Marie, waiting at home, her father's absences a scar on her young heart. His performances a distant substitute for presence. Historically, the tour's rigors are well documented: flights between shows, sleepless nights, a schedule that defied human endurance. Elvis's eyes, rimmed with fatigue, scan the crowd, connecting with fans who see only the legend. But the truth, heartbreaking and raw, emerges in his banter-rambling anecdotes about spiritual quests, hints of a man searching for meaning beyond the footlights. Psychologically, this is dissociation at play, the stage as a sanctuary where he can embody the untouchable Elvis, shielding the mortal man from scrutiny. As That's All Right fills the air, the original Sun Records hit, nostalgia floods the scene, a bridge to his humble beginnings. Yet it also highlights the chasm, from Shotgun Shack to Graceland Palace. His ascent paralleled by emotional descent, the immersion builds as the set intensifies. Each song, a chapter in his unraveling narrative. Crew recollections speak of his determination, pushing through pain with sheer will. Emotionally, this section crystallizes the tragedy. A king granting his subjects one last audience, unaware, or perhaps acutely aware, that the curtain was falling. The psychological insight pierces. In performing, Elvis confronts his demons. But the victory is Pyrrhic, the cost etched in every labored step. This night, in its midway revelations, lays bare the human cost of immortality. A story of quiet suffering amid thunderous acclaim. The energy in the arena reaches a fever pitch as Elvis delves into blue suede shoes, his foot tapping rhythmically. An echo of the defiant youth who once scandalized the nation. But observe the strain in his posture, the subtle lean against the stand-up-body architecture crumbling under invisible weights. Psychologically, this is the facade's fracture. Elvis, master illusionist, maintains the spectacle while his mind races with unspoken fears. The psychological toll of celebrity, that gilded cage, manifests in paranoia and self-doubt, whispers from his inner circle, confirming the world's shifting tides. Emotionally, the song evokes a bittersweet reverie. Shoes worn thin by the miles of his journey, each step a testament to resilience forged in adversity. His voice, rich and resonant, carries the weight of unspoken sorrows. A lament for the simplicity lost to stardom's complexities, historically contextualized. 1977 marks a pivotal year. Elvis's recordings wane in innovation. His live shows a staple of endurance rather than evolution. The concert's setlist, a medley of hits spanning his oeuvre, serves as a retrospective, but one tinged with urgency. As he moves to Heartbreak Hotel, the irony is palpable. The hotel of his heart, long since checked out of peace. Witnesses note his engagement with the audience, tossing scarves with a flourish that belies exhaustion. Yet his eyes betray a distant gaze, lost in personal tempests. Psychologically, this performance is a coping mechanism, the stage a confessional where he exorcises demons through melody. The emotional depth resonates in the lyrics' plea for connection, mirroring his own isolation amid entourages and estates. Vernon Presley, ever the watchful patriarch, senses the decline, his concerns dismissed in the haze of paternal pride and denial. Deeper insight reveals Elvis's spiritual undercurrents. A man who devoured books on philosophy and theology, seeking solace in the metaphysical. In this concert, songs like How Great Thou Art loom on the horizon, but even the secular tunes pulse with existential query. Hound Dog, belted with gusto, becomes a metaphor for his pursuit-chasing tales of fame that lead only in circles. Emotionally gripping, it underscores the psychological paradox, adoration as both elixir and poison, fueling his fire while scorching his spirit. Lisa Marie's image haunts him, a pure light in his shadowed world. Performances like this, he rationalizes, are for her future security. Yet they exact a toll on his present fragility. The historical narrative unfolds with precision. The tour's financial imperatives, Colonel Parker's iron grip on management, propel Elvis onward despite warnings. Medically, his condition, hypertension, glaucoma, compounded by polypharmacy, forms a ticking bomb. As its now or never echoes, the urgency is prophetic, a call to seize the moment, hearkening his own impending finality. Psychologically, procrastination plagues him, dreams of retirement deferred, health neglected in favor of the next show. The crowd's fervor, a tidal wave of love, crashes against his barriers, offering transient warmth. Emotionally, this is the core of the heartbreak, the knowledge that genuine intimacy eludes him. Replaced by performative affection, immersion heightens as we dissect the band's dynamics, loyal musicians mirroring his determination. Their harmonies, a bulwark against collapse. Revelations from this segment expose the truth's layers. Elvis's humor, laced with vulnerability, masks profound loneliness. In every ad-lib, every improvised line, we hear the man's soul, striving for authenticity amid artifice. This section, bridging the concert's crescendo, illuminates the psychological labyrinth, a king dethroned by his own scepter. His final notes, a symphony of defiance and despair, forever etching the narrative of a life unlived in full. As the concert hurtles toward its climax, Elvis summons the remnants of his indomitable spirit from my way, a Frank Sinatra cover that resonates with autobiographical fervor. His delivery, though labored, infuses the words with raw authenticity. I faced it all, and I stood tall and did it my way. Psychologically, this is the pinnacle of self-reflection, a man auditing his legacy amid the adrenaline surge. The emotional underbelly throbs with regret, not for the path chosen, but for the toll it exacted on body and bonds. Sweat glistens on his brow, not solely from lights, but from the internal inferno of unresolved longings. Historically, this song's inclusion marks Elvis's maturation, a departure from rockabilly roots to introspective balladry. Yet it underscores his entrapment in reinvention's cycle. The arena, alive with collective heartbeat, amplifies the intimacy of the moment. Fans, many who grew up on his records, sense the gravitas, though none foresee the finality. Psychologically sharp, Elvis navigates dissociation, the performer detached from the sufferer, his mind a whirlwind of memories from army barracks to Hollywood lots. Emotionally, the song evokes his mother Gladys's influence, her unwavering faith a ghost guiding his resolve. Vernon, in the audience, clenches his fists, paternal anguish mingling with pride. The psychological insight deepens Elvis's narcissism. Born of early validation, now wars with humility. The stage a battleground for identity, historically detailed. The tour's end nears, with Indianapolis as unwitting finale. Medical logs, later scrutinized, reveal escalating prescriptions, opioids for pain, stimulants for energy, a vicious spiral. As he transitions to hurt, the vulnerability peaks, voice breaking on lines of remorse. I hurt myself today, to see if I still feel, though not the exact lyrics, the sentiment aligns with his psyche's cry. Emotionally gripping, it exposes the self-inflicted wounds of excess, the heartbreak of a man who gave everything, receiving fragments in return. Lisa Marie, absent but ever present in thought, symbolizes the innocence he strives to preserve. His performances a legacy for her. The immersion captivates as band interjections provide counterpoint, their energy bolstering his faltering frame. Revelations abound. Off stage, Elvis confides in fears of irrelevance, psychological barometers of decline. Suspicious minds, a tour de force, builds to frenzy, his hips thrusting with residual charisma, yet breaths ragged. Psychologically, paranoia surfaces the suspicious minds of doubters, or his own. Emotional depth layers the narrative. Love's betrayal in personal life parallels public scrutiny. Historically, this hit from 1969 represented comeback triumph. Now, an ironic echo in decline. As encores beckon, the truth crystallizes. This concert, a mosaic of endurance, reveals Elvis's humanity stripped bare. The psychological toll, chronic stress manifesting somatically, foreshadows collapse. Emotionally, it's a valediction, unspoken bonds with audience forging fleeting unity. Crew accounts detail his post-song collapses, hidden from view. In this crescendo, the heartbreaking reality emerges, a king performing through agony, his way. A path of solitary splendor and profound sorrow, etching an indelible mark on the annals of human frailty. The finale descends like a veil of inevitability, Elvis launching into unchained melody with a voice that trembles on the edge of eternity. The piano's haunting notes underscore his fragility, each word a fragile thread connecting past to present. Psychologically, this is surrender's whisper, the performer yielding to the man, exhaustion etching lines of defeat. Emotionally, the song's plea for release mirrors his soul's yearning, chained from fame's fetters, from the prescriptions that bound him. The arena, hushed in reverence, becomes a confessional, fans bearing witness to unspoken vulnerability. Historically, this rendition, drawn from his recent recordings, symbolizes artistic persistence amid physical siege. A final artistic exhale, as applause swells for the encores. Elvis circles back to its now or never, urgency palpable in every inflection. Psychologically incisive, it confronts procrastination's curse, health ignored, relationships frayed in pursuit of perpetual motion. Emotional currents surge, with paternal devotion, thoughts of Lisa Marie fueling his fire. A legacy's torch passed in silence. Vernon rises, tears unspoken. The father-son bond, a quiet anchor in turmoil. The psychological labyrinth unfolds. Codependency with AIDS, a crutch masking autonomy's loss. Can't help falling in love, the tender, closer, drips with poignancy. Lyrics foretelling detachment. Take my hand, take my whole life, to historically woven. The concert's end marks tour's closure, yet life's abrupt halt looms. Medical hindsight reveals cardiac strain. The performance, a stress test, failed in retrospect. Immersion peaks as he bids farewell, voice fading. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. God bless you. Emotionally shattering. Its adieu veiled as routine. The crowd's ovation, a requiem, unaware. Psychologically, closure evades him, dreams unrealized, spiritual quests incomplete. Revelations culminate. This night exposed the truth. A man whose heart, literal and figurative, could no longer bear the load in the afterglow as lights dim. The heartbreaking verity endures. Elvis's last concert, a tapestry of triumph and tragedy, revealed a soul adrift in acclaim's sea. The psychological depth, resilience, clashing with resignation forever, humanizes the king. Emotionally, it grips with losses, universality, a story of love, unrequited dreams, deferred. Historically preserved, it stands as testament. Nobody was ready for the silence that followed. The throne vacated, echoes lingering in eternity's hall.